Hey, this is Brian again, and I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We can't do this work without people like you, so if you can, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about Bring Back the Porch.
I would say the heart of economic development is that investment, business retention and expansion. So it's understanding what we do well in Medicine Hat and understanding the business makeup, what their needs are, the needs of the businesses that are currently here. Because if those businesses are already located in Medicine Hat, there's a reason why. They're successful here, and so let's make sure to keep them here.
This episode of Bring Back the Porch brought to you by Medicine Hat Monumental, crafting quality memorials of distinction since 1970. There's an expression that I heard at the Medicine Hat College convocation that was attributed to you. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. And I thought, what a perfect way to describe economic development.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
What drew you to that? I think that originally it's a proverb from Tanzania in Africa.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's actually a very good explanation of economic development. It's a slow game. It doesn't. Economic development does not happen overnight, and what we do is we put in the processes that are required to build the economy in place. And when we continue to do those processes, the goal is to realize economic development over time.
Yeah, it's like a recipe. You have to put in the right amount of ingredients at the right time for everything to happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And every piece that we focus on feeds off the other piece, right? Just like a recipe, right? Mm-hmm. You need all those ingredients in order to make the cake.
Yeah. In your particular case, everybody's waiting for that cake to come out of the oven, though. That's the hard part, is that everybody's anticipating or waiting for some big announcement. And that might have been the way it went back in the 60s and 70s, but those days don't happen very often anymore.
Yeah. I think there was a stat that I heard last year, and I believe it was 5,000 investments. 30,000 communities in North America were competing for 5,000 investments. So, and you have to think those 30,000 communities are the, Calgary's and Edmonton's, Toronto's, Vancouver's of the world, Chicago, New York. Those are big municipalities, and so yes, it takes a lot of work and luck to land some of those investments.
Medicine Hat, I think it was Rudyard Kipling who said we're the town born lucky because we have the energy, we have the sun, we have good crops that we can grow here. We have lots going for us.
We do.
So that makes your job easier.
Yes, absolutely. In my prior life, I was an employee with the government of Alberta, and I worked with regions all across the province. And a lot of my colleagues in those regions used to be a little jealous about the way I was able to share about this community in this region, because we do have a lot of assets that not all communities have.
Yeah, we are known as the city with energy.
Yeah.
And these days, energy is in demand. Yes. And I know the big, I guess the thing that people are looking for is a data center, AI. That's where everybody thinks the panacea is today. Mm-hmm. Medicine Hat has the energy. We have the water, an underground aquifer to cool whatever would need to be built. Mm-hmm. Have we been looking at that?
We have definitely entertained opportunities. A lot of times the data centers nowadays they're coming with a bring your own power. So basically what that means is they produce their own power through natural gas. So they're not necessarily looking for our electricity anymore. They're looking for natural gas to build their own power. And so we do entertain opportunities every so often.
Yeah, I know that Brooks is looking at one right now,
yes.
And Olds is another one, but the public is not 100% behind these things.
Yes.
the ground is shifting every day.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I think that's something that as economic developers, we have to be very mindful of. It's, economic development also keeps in mind it's the economy, it's the social fabric of the community, and the environment, right? All three of those are very, very important when making decisions. If we don't connect with the community appropriately with certain investments, that can pose a real challenge to actually landing that investment, because the community have to be on board. They have to believe in that investment. Investors, if they see or if they sense some of that discomfort from a community, and if there's, sometimes there's, loud voices that are not happy with a certain investment, those investors will leave. Yeah. So part of our work is ensuring that the community is aware when the time is right.
Yeah, you can't show your cards too early.
That's right.
Yeah. That uncertainty is what drives investors away, and I often wonder if they're watching us on social media, how much that impacts someone making a decision over this community or this community. If they look at the social media, and how people are talking about their own community, how much that impacts those decisions.
You know what? Ultimately, I think every resident within Medicine Hat and Southeast Alberta has a responsibility for economic development, and the responsibility of the residents and the business people is to create an environment that shines well outside of Medicine Hat. And so you're absolutely right. When we can talk positively about our community, that is it makes it a lot easier for the city to be able to do our job.
Mm-hmm. You recently, your department won an award for the opportunity,
yes,
where you brought in people from outside to take a look at all that we have to offer in our little area here. Has any of those tours sprouted roots yet?
So we've done 2 tours now. Mm-hmm. We did the one that we won the award for. That was back in 2024. We just did another one. Both had different focuses. So back in 2024, we were a brand new department, and we had been kind of, we hadn't really been connecting with those agencies outside of Medicine Hat for a little bit of time. And so the whole idea around the 2024 tour was, let's show everybody that we are open for business and that we are back in business. And so instead of reaching out one-to-one, we decided, why don't we bring everybody here? So we had, I think it was about 23 individuals from, I think, 15 or 16 different organizations came to Medicine Hat. They participated in an evening cocktail event where they got to meet senior leaders, decision makers, business people. They got to really, learn about what Medicine Hat and about our people. And then the next day we took them on a trolley tour, which they really, really liked that. Took them on the trolley tour, then took them to the Esplanade, where we had a big presentation on Medicine Hat, why, everything from our land, our energy, our planning and development. They got to learn about everything about Medicine Hat. And then that followed with a luncheon with the Premier. So that was, I think, that was a draw, definitely. Mm-hmm. And then from there, they went on some tours of different companies in Medicine Hat. It went over really, really well, and we had a lot of really positive feedback. I think where we were able to leverage that event was around the relationships with the organizations and investment agencies that can help us sell Medicine Hat. So it was, let's look to the relationships that we have that are already selling Alberta to say, hey, don't forget about Medicine Hat.
Yeah, I think that's what Al Sharma was talking about when he paid us a visit on the porch earlier, about building those relationships so that people who know people, and networking and all of that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right.
4 pillars of economic development. I found that on the city website. Workforce development, business development, investment attraction, and investment growth and readiness.
Yes.
All same but different, I think.
They're all a little different. But they, like I had mentioned before, they do all feed off of each other. So I would say the heart of economic development is that investment, business retention and expansion. So it's understanding what we do well in Medicine Hat and understanding the business makeup, what their needs are, the needs of the businesses that are currently here. Because if those businesses are already located in Medicine Hat, there's a reason why. They're successful here, and so let's make sure to keep them here. So that's the first piece. Second piece is workforce. I mean, we need workforce is becoming within North America very, very challenging for most municipalities. That is more because there's gaps in skills. So we do have a higher unemployment rate, but we have a lot of companies that still can't find the right workers. And so we need to be able to support those companies in bringing the right professionals so those companies can stay here. So another big piece. The third one, investment readiness. We need to make sure that we're working with our land department, with our planning department, energy department to ensure that we have created an environment that is ready if a company ever wants to come here or if a company wants to expand. Finally, which I always like to say, investment attraction is actually probably the last pillar, because we can't do investment attraction unless we have all of those other things, unless we're doing all those others well. And so that's how investment attraction works. Is we understand the businesses, we understand our assets, we decide what is it that we think would work well in Medicine Hat, and we go after that industry.
One of the challenges that you'll be facing, you and the City Council, is the lack of air service to Medicine Hat as WestJet flies away for the last time. It is not going to be easy, but I think you have a partner in Lethbridge, too, that you might be able to work together to bring somebody here.
Yes, we're hoping. So yes, it's going to be a challenge. The province has stepped up to the plate. They just announced an expression of interest call for smaller airlines that might be interested in serving the regional airports. So the province is looking at subsidizing those airlines, and so we're hoping that offer is going to help us attract another airline. Because yes, air service is very, very important to economic development. It's tourism. It's bringing down the CEO of our major companies. It's making sure that our workforce can get where they need to go efficiently.
Yeah. You can imagine the CEO landing in Calgary being told he has to drive 3 hours to find this place, and he might think, maybe I look somewhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, number one on the to-do list right now.
That's right.
Aerospace industry here, though, we have one that I'm sure a lot of people are unaware of, all the things that are happening in the aerospace industry here. I think Mayor Clark referred to us as the drone capital when she was at the State of the Region back last month, too. So talk a little bit about how the synergies work there when one comes and another component, like a jigsaw puzzle, when you put it together.
Sure. So I was talking about how we need to look at the assets that we have, and so Southeast Alberta is a prime location for defense and aerospace, mainly because we are in close proximity to CFB Suffield, which has Defense Research and Development Canada research station, and we are also close to Foremost UAS range. So those two assets make us very different than many other areas of North America. So those are the two assets that we definitely focus on. When we look at our topography, we're a flat terrain. We've got a lot of space. We've got a lot of restricted airspace. So when people are needing to test and train their drones, they can do that in a space that they're not having to worry about other aircraft, basically. So defense and aerospace, we've also got a small cluster. We've got three, we like to call them our Medicine Hat primes. So we've got kinetic and landing zones and UVAD, along with some other service space types of companies. That is what that does for Medicine Hat is it enables a competitive advantage in workforce, because we've got a higher number of aerospace engineers, and the more you build that cluster, the more it's going to be easier to sell, because there's the workforce opportunities. There's more workforce opportunities within the region.
Mm-hmm. And those people attract friends who are in the industry.
Absolutely.
They tell their friend, "Hey, Bill, we got a good thing going here. You should come and check us out."
Yes, absolutely. They often talk about the defense and aerospace sector as being a very tight-knit group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Medicine Hat has a big petrochemical industry and opportunities there.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we've got our major companies, CF Industries, ammonia fertilizer plant. We've got Methanex, we've got CanCarb, Goodyear, and Evonik, which is another petrochemical company. There's definitely opportunity. One of the things that we are working on right now to retain those companies is our carbon capture hub. In order, as we look forward to the energy transition plans and this net zero by 2050 that the Government of Canada continues to talk about and make policy around, we are going to be needing to find ways to keep high emitters here. And because if we can't find a way for them to become carbon neutral, they're going to have to go somewhere else. So we are very fortunate to have the topography for a carbon capture hub.
Mm-hmm. Is that still just in a theoretical stage, or is there?
They're advancing. So we are hoping by, I believe, 2030 that it will be in full operation.
Okay. You mentioned Suffield too, and with the changes that are happening in Canada's military, more investment. There's opportunity for Suffield to again flex its muscle economically in the region. Absolutely.
With the Carney announcement for the, I think it was 5% spend for NATO, that is putting those bases, I think, on steroids. So they're really being able to build their capacity. Just even, the DRDC, it's not an expansion, it's a renewal. So basically they're rebuilding the DRDC research station. And so what that's going to do is that's going to provide Medicine Hat with opportunities, first of all, for construction, and possible, if I don't know if they're going to be increasing their hires, but there is definitely going to be opportunity there as well.
The ag industry is another big, footprint for Southeast Alberta, and I think your friends in Cypress County are working on something. They've just recently got a grant too. Is there synergy there?
Yes, absolutely. They're working on a grant for workforce and investment attraction. So they received a grant for workforce and investment attraction. We released a strategy, Southeast Alberta Economic Opportunity Strategy, about a year and a half ago, and the focus from that strategy is going to be agriculture. And so the City of Medicine Hat, along with Cypress County, County of 40 Mile, Town of Redcliffe, Village of Foremost, and Town of Wyland are going to be collaborating on some agriculture work. What we see the opportunity for Southeast Alberta is to really build the capacity of our producers and help them to be able to move into more value-added space, basically being able to take what they're growing and make it into something to sell. And so we are working on a project. Hopefully we'll be able to announce something soon around that.
The Ewell School of Agriculture has broken ground where students in Cypress County will be trained in all aspects of agriculture. That speaks to your workforce development that we were talking about earlier, that you'll have the people here to do a lot of that work.
Yes. So the UL School of Agriculture is one. Also, Southern Alberta Flight Academy. There's a lot of different programming. Programming is different now in secondary schools. I mean, when I went to school, we just sat in a desk and we learned our core subjects and our options, and we left for the day. And it's just not like that anymore. And so I think that what is so good about that is we are able to take students who have a passion for something, and we're being able to integrate them into the workforce at a much earlier age. And I think that's a very good thing, considering some of the gaps we have in our workforce.
The twinning of Highway 3 must also be something you're happy about.
Absolutely. That is, we're looking forward. They're in the research, they're in the design phase right now, hoping to break ground in 2027. That highway, when that is twinned, we will then be able to we'll be at the intersection of two double-lane highways. We will be 2 hours away from the U.S. border, double lane all the way. It's going to allow us to possibly even attract different industry. We are considering looking into, what opportunities are there for transportation and logistics, given the fact that we're at that intersection, and build on our ag sector.
Okay. Anything else that you wanted to talk about? Maybe it's a chance to brag a little bit about Medicine Hat while you're here?
Well, I believe that we are in one of the most beautiful, most opportunistic communities in Alberta, if not Western Canada. We have a lot of opportunity that a lot of municipalities don't, and I think that's really important for the general public, our residents, to understand. Is our quality of life is second to none. We top the quality of life compared to a lot of other municipalities. Like I've talked about our assets. We've got assets here that not many other municipalities can say they have. We've got, we manage our own electricity, so we have control around that, and we've got really good people. So I think there's a lot to brag about, and I do believe that we're going to see some growth in the years coming.
And as you mentioned earlier, people that live here need to be positive about their own community and maybe check themselves when they want to make a negative comment.
Absolutely.
Selena McLean Moore, Director of Economic Development, the City of Medicine Hat, thank you for the visit.
Thank you very much.